Hello, my dear friends. Welcome to the subject of statistics for the class 12th English medium, part 1, chapter 2, linear correlation, the third topic by Vitansa. Today we will be discussing the shortcut method of Carl Pearson's product moment formula for calculating the correlation coefficient. We will start with an illustration. Illustration 9. We have the heights and weights of students of a school, the height in centimeter, the weight in kg. There are 6 students data is available. We have to calculate the correlation coefficient between the height and the weight. The first step is to make a total of the x and y variables and find the average. The x bar here is 158.83 while y bar here is 57.33. Now the first thing which you should notice is whether the averages are integer or fractions. Here the average, both of the averages are fractions, that is in the decimals. Because they are in the decimals, we will not be using the x bar y bar method. The remaining method are x y method, but for that method we need smaller values, a lot smaller values. The values here, the height and weight, are a bit bigger, more than 50s and more than hundreds. So we will not use the xy method. In that case, we will be using the third UV method, also known as the shortcut method. The formula for UV method is something like this. N summation UV minus summation U summation V upon whole root n summation U square minus summation U the whole square into under root n summation V square minus summation V the whole square. Now you will see some similarities between UV method and XY method, and that is that in the formula we just replace X with U and Y with V. If you keep the formulas of XY and UV method side by side, you will notice this, that X is replaced by U and Y is replaced by V. Here we will use one of the properties of correlation coefficient which I explained in the previous tutorials, that is the change of origin and change of scale. Change of origin means plus and minus, adding and subtracting a constant value from the x and y. Change of scale means multiplying and dividing a constant value from the values of x and y. That is, we will be converting x into u and converting y into v so that our calculation becomes easier. The objective here is that to make the values of x and y as small as possible and to make the calculations easier. We will calculate u and v in this manner. U will be x minus a divided by cx. Here a and cx are constant values. That is, we will subtract a particular value from x, we will call it a, and we will divide a particular value from x, we will call it cx. Similarly, we will calculate v by deducting b from y and dividing cy from y. So u will be x minus a upon cx, v will be y minus b upon cy. Now in this method, the a, b, cx, cy, all those four values are to be decided by us. That means a, b, cx and cy will not be given in the question. We have to think about it. We have to decide which value is to be taken so to minimize the values of x and y. Remember this, whatever values you take, the final answer will be same. Once again, whatever values you take, the final answer will be same. In this question, I have taken a is 158. Why? The x bar is 158.83, so the nearest integer value to that is 158. But if you take 160, if you take 150, if you take 155, still the final answer will be same. There will not be any difference in the final answer. but for the sake of simplicity I have taken 158. Similarly, B is taken as 57. Y bar here is 57.33. So the nearest integer is 57. If you want, you can take 60, you can take 50, you can take 55. The final answer will be same. There will not be any difference there because correlation coefficient is independent of the change of origin and the change of scale. Here A and B are 158 and 57. If you see, there is no constant value with which we can divide these two. We can't divide them by 10, we can't divide them by 5 because they are not similar values, they are haphazard values. So we will not divide them by any particular value. For that we will take Cx and Cy as only 1. That means we will not be dividing, we will not be multiplying them, we will only be deducting the values 158 and 57. That means for u we will take x minus 158. What we will take? X minus 158. And for v we will take y minus 57. Usually in our x bar y bar method we do x minus x bar and y minus y bar. Here we are doing x minus a and y minus b. These are the assumed values. These are not averages. These are the assumed values. But our columns will be something similar. We are denoting x minus 158 as u, y minus 57 as v. On the next slide, I am depicting the table which we will be creating. Start with the basic question. Height is x, weight is y. Copy the question down properly. Make a total. It is always necessary. Now we will be writing down the columns for our answer. The x is converted into u. The y is converted into v. So we will be requiring u column, v column, u into v column, u square column and v square column. As usually in our xy method we use x, y, xy, x square, y square. In our x bar y bar method we use x minus x bar, y minus y bar, x minus x bar into y minus y bar, x minus x bar whole square, y minus y bar whole square. If you see in all the three formulas, the columns are quite similar. So in UV method, the columns which you require are u, v, u into v, u square, v square. We will start with the first column, that is u, that is x minus 158. That means from the height column, take individual values and deduct 158 from that. That is, first one is 155 minus 158, second one is 165 minus 158, third one is 158 minus 158, and so on. You will get the whole u column. This is simple, which we have already done in the x minus x bar method. The only difference is we are not taking the x bar, we are taking an assumed value according to our own discretion. V column is y minus 57, that is from the weight column take each and every individual values and deduct 57 from that. That is 53 minus 57, 63 minus 57, 56 minus 57 and so on. You will get the V column. Once you are done with u and v columns, multiply u with v. That way you will get the uv column. Next, square the whole u column and then square the whole v column. That way you will get u square, v square. Once you are done with this, make a total of all the 5 columns. Once you are done with the total, write down the question formula. R is equal to n summation uv minus summation u summation v divide by under root n summation u square minus summation u the whole square multiplied by again under root n summation v square minus summation v the whole square. Now putting the values, n is 6, summation uv is the total of uv column 97, summation u is total of u column 5, summation v is total of v column 2 upon under root n is 6, summation u square is the total of u square column 103 minus summation u is the total of u column 5 and then make a square into again under root n is 6, summation v square is the total of v square column 96 minus summation v is the total of v column, and then make a square, that is 2 square. So we will get the next step as follows: 582 minus 10 upon 618 minus 25 under root into 576 minus 4 under root. Make the subtractions of all these three groups. You will get 572 upon 593 root into 572 root. So make a multiplication of these two root values. You will get 572 upon 339196 under root. Make it root. 572 upon 582.4054. The answer is 0.98. The R is 0.98. So this is a positive value and very much near to 1. So our statement will be R is close to 1. There is a high degree of positive correlation between the height and the weight of the students. My dear friends, the height and the weight of students have very high degree of positive correlation. That means the more the height, more the weight. Moving on to the next illustration. Illustration 10. We are given years from 11 to 16, the income and the income due to overtime. Two things are given: average monthly income and the income due to the overtime. That means total income of a month and the income earned from the overtime. Two values for a person, worker, is given for different 6 years, and we are supposed to calculate the correlation coefficient between the average monthly income X and the income due to overtime Y. First we will make a total and find the averages. The average of the monthly income is 15,333.33, a fractional value, not an integer. Y bar is 159.17, again a fractional value. Both of our averages are in decimals. That means we will not be using X bar Y bar method. As you can see, the values are in thousands. We can't use XY method. We will be using the shortcut method, that is the UV method, for which we will have to make some assumptions. The mean for X is 15,333.33. So we have rounded off it to the nearest big integer, that is 15,300. Now why have we taken 15,300 and not just 15,333? As you can see, all of our monthly average income has two zeros at the end. If you can see it clearly, all of them have at least two zeros at the end. That means we can divide it by 100. Having two zeros at the end means we can at least divide it by 100. So while deducting, we will also assume a value with the two zeros at the end. So A is assumed as 15,300. Similarly, for Y, you can see that all of them are divided, can be divided by 5. 100, 105, 115, 162, 22, 55, all of them are divisible by 5. So we will also take a value which is divisible by 5 for the estimation of B. B is taken as 160, that is the nearest integer from the Y bar. Now X can be divided by 100, so Cx is taken as 100, and Y can be divided by 5, so we have taken Cy as 5. That means if all the values are divisible, then divide. If even a single value does not give us a proper answer, then don't divide, because we don't want decimal values in our calculations. We want fully integer values, because integers are easier to calculate and decimal fractions are quite difficult. That's why we are being careful with our A, B, Cx and Cy. So once we are done with this, the U and V will look something like this. U will be X minus 15,300 divided by 100. That means from the whole column of X, plus first deduct 15,300 and then divide the answer with 100. For V, deduct 160 from Y and then divide the answer by 5. It will look something like this. Give the titles, copy the question, make a total and write the columns of U, V, UV, U square and V square. Now for the column of u, we will deduct 15,300 and then divide it by 100. That is, if you take your calculus, 14,900 minus 15,300 divided by 100 will be negative 4. Then take 15,100 minus 15,300 divided by 100 will get you negative 2. 15,000 minus 15,300 divided by 100 will get you negative 3. Similarly, you will get the answers 2, 4 and 5. Once you are done with the u column, start with the v column. Here you have to deduct with 160 and divide by 5. So first value of y is 100. 100 minus 160 divided by 5. Take your calculus, calculate the answer. It will be negative 12. 105 minus 160 divided by 5 is negative 11. 115 minus 160 divided by 5 is negative 9. 160 minus 160 divided by 5 is naturally 0. 220 minus 160 upon 5 is 12, and the last answer is 19. Once you are done with the u and v columns, multiply both the columns to get the uv column. Make a square of the whole u column to get u square column. Make a square of the whole v column to get v square column. Once you have created all the 5 necessary columns, make a total of all the columns. And this is how your table will look like. Once you are done with this table, move on by writing down the formula. N summation uv minus summation u summation v upon under root n summation u square minus summation u the whole square into under root n summation v square minus summation v the whole square. Put the necessary values as I have told you. uv, summation uv is the total of uv column, summation u is the total of u column, summation v is the total of v column, summation u square is the total of u square column, summation u bracket square is the total of u column and then square, summation v square is the total of v square column, and summation v brackets square is the total of v column and then square. That way you will get the next step. Be careful about the signs. In the numerator, the summation v is a negative value, so negative negative positive will get us 1440 plus 2 rather than minus 2. But in the division, in the second under root, negative 1 square is a positive 1, so in between the sign will not change, it will be negative. If you make a mistake in signs, it will be fatal. Next step, get the answers, multiply the under root values, get the root value, divide. You will get 0.9621, that is 0.96 is your correlation value. With this, we can see that it's a positive value and a very high degree one. So it is close to 1, therefore there is a high degree of positive correlation between the average monthly income and the income due to overtime. Naturally, if you work overtime, then you earn more monthly income. It's a given thing. Moving forward to the next illustration. Illustration 11. 6 different cities of Gujarat state A, B, C, D, E, F are given the density of population and the death rate. Density of population means the more population in a small area. In the same area, the population in these cities, if there is a lower amount of population, less people live in a single area. More amount of population means more people live in the same area. Death rate, how many people die from the population given. So we are seeing a trend here that the more density of the population shows a more death. But let's see how it falls out, as we are supposed to calculate the correlation between the density and the death rate. If you check out the values here, they are in hundreds, so we will not be able to use the XY method. Let us calculate the X bar, Y bar and decide. The X bar here is 450, an integer, good, but Y bar here is 11.33, not an integer, a fraction. So I will not be advising you to use the X bar, Y bar method, as the value of X is big value. So we will not be using the XY method, so we will be using the UV method. For that, we will have to assume the a, b, cx and cy's. As you can see, the values of x are all in the multiple of hundreds. So naturally, we will use cx as 100. We will be dividing with 100. And so a, that is the assumed value for x, should also be taken in the multiple of 100. So we are assuming a as 500. You can also take 400 if you wish, but I am taking 500 here. The value of b, the nearest integer for y bar is 11.33, so we are taking 12. If you wish, you can take it 11, you can take it 10, whatever you wish. There is no particular pattern for dividing the y variable, so we are not dividing y with anything, we will just take it as 1. So a is 500, b is 12, cx is 100 and cy is 1. So our un u will be x minus 500 upon 100, while v will be just y minus 12, nothing to be divided with. Remember this, if there is no particular pattern for division, use 1. If there is a particular pattern for division, use that pattern and decide a value for dividing. We will write down the xy columns, we will write down the question as it is, make a total, write the 5 necessary columns u, v, uv, u square and v square. Now u is x minus 500 upon 100, so we will be deducting 500 from all the x values and then divide it with 100. 200 minus 500 upon 100 is negative 3. 500 minus 500 upon 100 is 0. 400 minus 500 is negative 1. Divided by 100 is negative 1. 700 minus 500 divided by 100 is 2. 600 minus 500 upon 100 is 1. 300 minus 500 upon 100 is negative 2. Similarly, we just have to deduct with 12 for the y column, nothing to be divided with. 10 minus 12, negative 2, 0, minus 2, 3, negative 3, 0. Likely, we will get all the u and v values. Multiply this two column to get the uv column. Square the u column to get u square column and square the v column to get the v square column. Once you have created all the 5 necessary columns, make a total of all the 5 necessary columns. Once you are done with the total, move forward with the formula. R is n summation uv minus summation u summation v upon under root n summation u square minus summation u the whole square into under root n summation v square minus summation v the whole square. This way you will write down your formula, put the necessary values, be aware of the signs in the numerator. There are 3 times negative, so it will stay negative in the end. In the division, the negative 3 will be squared, so it will be positive 3. Negative sign will be as it is. Negative 4 is squared, so it will become positive 4, so negative sign will stay as it is. Subtract all the 3 groups, you will get the values, multiply the under root values, make a root of the denominator, divide the value, you will get the answer 0.45. Now this 0.45 is less than 0.5. This is the first time we are getting something of a lower degree, so we can say that there is a lower, or we can also say there is a moderate. Moderate means medium. It is very much near to 0.5. It is not near to 0, it is very much near to 0.5. So we can say that there is a moderate degree of positive correlation. It is just an average, not very high, not very low, and a moderate degree of positive correlation between the density of population and the death rate. Means it is related, it is positively related, but not that strongly. It may happen, it might not happen, depending on the population and death rate. Moving on, the illustration here is about the sales and the profit. The sales you can see here are in the decimal values already, while the profit are in the thousands. First, we will start with calculating the averages. X bar is perfect to an integer, but y bar is not an integer, it is 5611.11, that is a fraction. So we will not be using x bar y bar method, as the y are big values. We will not be using x and y method. The third method is the u and v method. For u, we will assume a and cx. Now the x bar here is 2 itself an integer, so we can take a as 2 directly. The Cx is the value which we divide to the x. Right now the values are already in the fractions. The x values 1.6, 2.2, 1.9, etc. are already in decimals. To convert these values into integers, we will need to multiply these values with the 10. We will need to multiply the values of x with 10. While the Cx does not represent multiplication, Cx represents the division. So when we are multiplying with the 10, we will be dividing with the 0.1. Let us take an example. Take your calci, write down the value 5, then multiply it with the 10. Your answer will be 50. Now take the value 5, divide this value with 0.1. Once again, take the value 5, divide this value with 0.1, and your answer will be 50 again. That means when you multiply a value by 10, it equals to dividing the same value by 0.1. How did I find this out? How did I know that multiplying with 10 equals to dividing with 0.1? Simple. If you want to multiply with 10, get its inverse, that is 1 upon 10, that is 0.1. So you multiply with 10, you divide it with 0. The inverse values are something which we studied in elementary standards, which you might have forgotten, but it is a very useful system. Taking another example, hypothetically, I want to multiply with 100. So 100 inverse will be 1 upon 100, 0.01. I can divide my value with 0.01 and it will equal to multiplying with 100. Take a third example. Multiply with 5. Its inverse will be 1 upon 5, 0.2. It equals to dividing with 0.2. Right now, A will be 2, B is 5600. As you can see, the Y are in thousands and at least 2 zeros are present in all the values. So we will also make sure that we have 2 zeros in our assumed value of B. So 5600. Cx, that is the division value, will be 0.1, while Y will be divided by 100 because we can divide it by 100 right now. The U is 10 into x minus 2, that is deduct 2 from all the values of x, 1.6 minus 2, 2.2 minus 2, 1.9 minus 2, etc., and then multiply it with 10. For V, deduct 5600 from all the values, 4200 minus 5600, 5500 minus 5600, etc., and then divide it by 100. Now I am leaving this sum to you guys. I have explained you the method, I have given you the assumed values. What you are supposed to do is write down the question vertically, draw the 5 columns, make a total, put them into formula and get the answer. Try it on your own. I am leaving this sum to you guys and I wish you can do it properly. The answer is 0.71 as on the bottom right corner. Check whether you get the right answer or not. I will move forward. Illustration 14, find the value of R from the following data. Now there are 4 small questions apart in this illustration. The first question here, that N is 20, the covariance is negative 50, the Sx is 15 and the Sy is 8. That means we are supposed to recall our formulas, a list of formulas, and from that list of formulas we have to solve this question. Now which was the formula which used the covariance xy? If you check it out, the formula was covariance xy upon Sx into Sy. Do we have covariance xy? Yes. Do we have Sx? Yes. Do we have Sy? Yes. Put the values. Negative 50 upon 15 into 8. Make a multiplication. Negative 50 upon 120. Get the answer. Simplify. The R is negative 0.42. These are the 2 marks kind of questions which you will be facing in your boards. These are the most timely questions. Learn them properly. The second question, where you have the n10, x minus x bar, y minus y bar 60, the variance of x 25 and the variance of y 36. First of all, we don't require variance, we require the standard deviation, and we studied in 11 that standard deviation is the root of the variance. So variance of x is sx square, so sx is the root 5. Variance of y is the sy square. The root of the sy square is sy, that is 6. Now we have sx and sy. If you once again recall the list of formulas, you will find something like this. Summation x minus x bar y minus y bar upon n into sx into sy. This is the formula I have already given you guys beforehand. The only way to solve this kind of sums is to recall and mug up each and every formula perfectly. Put the values, multiply, find the division, you will get your answer. R is 0.2. In this kind of questions, it is okay not to write this statement, but if you want, it would be a lower degree of positive correlation. The third question, x and y, number of observations are 25. The number of observations means the mean n. Mean is x bar, y bar. Sum of squares of deviations taken from mean. Now this is a statement you might not have heard, but this is something to be taught in the 11th itself. The sum of the squares of the deviations, that is the summation x minus x bar whole square and summation y minus y bar whole square, and the sum of the product of the deviation, that is the summation x minus x bar into y minus y bar. If you convert these words into the formulas, you will get something like this. The n is 25, the x bar is 40, y bar is 50. Square of the deviation, that is x minus x bar square 124x and y minus y bar square 164y, and then product of these two deviations and its sum is 100. If you check the formula, the values given correctly, you will know that you are supposed to use which formula? The x bar and y bar formula. Put the values, multiply the under root values, get the root, divide, and you will get your answer 0.72. The statement is not necessary, but it will be the higher degree of positive correlation. The fourth one, n is given, summation xy is given, x bar is given, y bar is given, sx is given, sy is given. Now you might find these values quite complicated, but if you once again check out the list of formula, you will get a formula like this. It is there. Summation xy minus n x bar y bar upon n sxy into sy. Summation xy minus n x bar y bar upon n into sx into sy. If you check out, all the values are available here. Just put them. First of all, multiply the necessary values, subtract the numerator, divide, you will get your answer negative 0.67. You can say there is a moderately negative correlation. You can check it out from the answer itself. It is negative and it is around half limit. So there is a moderately negative correlation. The last illustration of the today's tutorial and the last illustration given in the textbook for this particular method, x is the annual sales, y is the annual profit, n summation x, summation y, summation xy, summation x square, summation y square. Every possible value is given for the method of x and y. So write down the formula perfectly, the xy method, n summation xy minus summation x summation y upon n summation x square minus summation x whole square under root into under root n summation y square minus summation y the whole square. The whole formula is available. The values are available, all the 6 values. Put them according to I have taught you. Don't mistake summation x square and summation x brackets square as the same thing. They are two different things. If you write the wrong columns total at the wrong place, the whole answer will be forfeit. So writing down the values one by one, going step by step, multiply the under root values, get the root, divide, you will get your R is equal to 0.94. There is a high degree of correlation. So all the illustrations are over. Your homework is all the illustrations done in this tutorial. You have to write once in your regular notebook and twice in your homework notebook. That way you will remember all the formulas and the small details of why to take and what to take. Next time we will be solving the exercise 2.2 of the textbook. Till then, study properly guys, do your work. See you soon. See you then.